Hello guys! In today's lesson, we are going to talk about the difference between past continuous and the past perfect continuous. These tenses are also called past progressive and past perfect progressive, the same thing. At the end of this lesson, I have tests for you. Let's start with the grammatical structures. Past continuous. Subject plus was, were, plus verb, plus ing. I was talking. You were talking. He was talking. She was talking. It was talking. We were talking. They were talking. The grammatical structures. Past perfect continuous. Subject plus had been plus verb plus ing. I had been talking. You had been talking. He had been talking. She had been talking. It had been talking. We had been talking. They had been talking. How do we form the negative? Look where I put not. Past continuous tense. Subject was not or were not plus verb ing, and remember you need to choose was or were depending on the subject. I was not talking, you were not talking, he was not talking, she was not talking, it was not talking, we were not talking, they were not talking. Past perfect continuous tense. Subject had been not plus verb ing. And you can see we use had been not for every subject. I had not been talking. You had not been talking. He had not been talking. She had not been talking. He had not been talking. We had not been talking. They had not been talking. To form questions, change the word order. Put the auxiliary verb was, were, and had before the subject. Past continuous tense. Was I talking? Were you talking? Was he talking? Was she talking? Was it talking? Were we talking? Were they talking? Past perfect continuous tense. Had I been talking? Had you been talking? Had he been talking? Had she been talking? Had it been talking? Had we been talking? Had they been talking? Past continuous tense usually means that two actions happened at the same time. Past continuous tense shows us a background. Past perfect continuous tense is focused on that first action happened before another past action. Past perfect continuous tense can often emphasize duration, how long an action happened. So, what's the difference? I have two timelines. You can see the past and the present. In the first timeline, you can see two actions happening at the same time. In the second timeline, an action continues and stops before another past action. It was snowing, so I put on my winter boots. I had been snowing, so I put on my winter boots. Again, what's the difference? Past continues. It was still snowing when I put on my winter boots. Look out of the window. You can see it was snowing. The actions are happening at the same time. In the second example, the snowing stopped and then I put on my winter boots. Usually, with the past perfect continuous, there is an evidence of that finished past action. What's the evidence here? Well, the ground was covered in snow. Let's have two more examples. Jenny was crying, so I gave her a hug. Jenny had been crying, so I gave her a hug. Look, Jenny is crying, and you're trying to calm down her. The actions are happening at the same time. In the second example, Jenny had stopped crying before I gave her a hug. What evidence do I have? Well, there is a trash of full tissues. Maybe she has red eyes and blotchy face. Let's compare two more examples. The teacher gave all of the students a treat while they were being very good. First action happens at the same time as another past action. The teacher was giving the students a treat while they were studying. I was really disappointed with my low score because I had been studying like crazy. In the second example, it's clear the studying is done. I had my exam. What evidence do I have? The disappointment. If you had been studying like crazy, you would also be disappointed. Here I have the 6 sentences we just looked at. I have the past continuous structures and the past perfect continuous structures. We can also see the past simple tense. We normally use the past simple tense with these two tenses. It was snowing, so I put on my winter boots. Put on, past simple. I gave her a hug because she was crying. Gave a hug, past simple. It had been snowing, so I put on my winter boots. Put on, past simple. I gave a hug Jenny because she had been crying. Gave a hug, past simple. Do you know what is a background? It was snowing, the wind was howling, the fire was crackling and popping. Oh, jazz music was playing. So, why do we need the past simple with these tenses? The past simple is the main action. Past continuous shows us a background. Let's look at the next sentences in order to understand what is a background. It was snowing, the wind was howling, the fire was crackling and popping. Oh, jazz music was playing. The past continuous is giving you the mood. It's not main action. And you can see there can be several things happening at the same time. Let's talk about duration. The documentary crew was filming a reef when a sea turtle appeared. The documentary crew had been filming for days when a sea turtle finally appeared. What's the difference? They are both interrupted actions. In the first example, I am just telling you what was happening when a sea turtle appeared. It's giving you the background. The past perfect continuous emphasizes duration. Duration tells us how long the action had been happening. For days. We don't do that with the past continuous. In the second example, maybe the documentary was about sea turtles and the documentary crew had been waiting for days. You can see I added that to emphasize duration. I also added the word finally so you can really feel that they had been waiting a long time. In order to show duration and the background, I made some sentences. I had only been waiting for 2 minutes at the office when they called my name. Duration. The documentary crew had been filming since Monday. Duration. The documentary crew had been filming all week. Duration. I had been working at my company for 3 years before I got my first promotion. Duration. By the time the firemen arrived, the fire alarm had been ringing for 45 minutes. Duration. Everyone was having a good time until it started to rain. Background. I was wrapping my sister's gift when she walked into the room. Oh no. Background. I was eating lunch when you arrived. Background. I was washing the dishes when the phone rang. Background. My father wasn't cooking when I came home. Background. As I said at the beginning of this lesson, I have a test for you. Now it is test time. Find the correct tense and figure out a background or duration. Okay guys, here you can check all your answers. I hope this lesson was useful for you. Thank you for your attention. Take care.